again to this third video where we're going to be discussing the second element of the biodynamic breath and trauma release system, and that second element is that of movement. And what we're talking about here is the movement of the body. This movement arises because at some point in our lives we failed, for whatever reason, to complete a response to a stressful event. Animals in the wild, if they escape or they manage to fight off a predator, will complete a physical response after the threat has been removed that discharges the energy that had been mobilized in response to that initial threat. For us as humans, we can override this response and we move into a phase of immobility, freeze, or even dissociation. The energy then that has become mobilized in response to the threat settles into the body's tissues in the form of chronic tension. We can also bind this energy when our defense mechanisms begin to activate in response to threats to stop ourselves from feeling the feelings and the emotions and the uncomfortableness that have been associated with our response to events. So movement is the beginning of a completion of the response that became interrupted. Breathing stimulates the sympathetic nervous system and allows for the possibility of movement to occur. And it can occur spontaneously, or we can begin with some movement. For example, breath is movement. And if we bring our awareness to the way the lungs are inflating, the chest cavity and the shoulders are opening and contracting, the way the ribs are moving, this can begin the process of allowing movement to arise. But what does this movement look like? Well, it can take the form of a shaking or a tremoring, or small movements of the hands and the feet, for example. There may be much larger movements, and they can actually at times look like a completion of a running or a punching as we complete that stuck response. What's really interesting is that the whole body can begin to move in a twisting or snake-like movements. This is unwinding, and particularly unwinding of a connective tissue that goes through the whole of our body called fascia. The fundamental key to the movement is the felt sense. Breathing activates the felt sense when we're beginning a session. Another key to the movement that can occur within the body is to be present to the movement itself. And the best way of doing that is allowing the movements to happen in a way that is very slow and very methodical. So we're not allowing the movement to be too fast. If we move too fast, we lose the connection. To summarize, movement is an important part of the biodynamic breath and trauma release system. It occurs as a result of the activation of the sympathetic nervous system via breathing, which is engaging us in the flight, and allows for the completion of a previously interrupted stress response. And it can take several forms: shaking, unwinding, movements of individual body parts, to large limb movements, to whole body unwinding. The key is felt sense and to allow the movements to progress in a rhythmic, slow fashion. Thank you very much for listening to me, and in the next video we'll be looking at the next element of the BBTRS system.